ding, and move that around on my thing. Okay. Is it 5:30? It is, so we better start on time. So welcome everybody as your sergeant at arms or acting sergeant at arms as an unofficial Toastmasters club, but a Biz Meets Toastmasters. I thought about it for a while, and that Biz Meets Toastmasters, I have to look over there every now and then. It reminds me when I'm at an in-person Toastmasters club that some people actually stand in one spot when they're especially a new guest, and then they forget that they should stand over here and address the people on that side of the room. But I mimic that by having my camera over there and I'm looking at my computer over here. So it makes me look over there and say, you guys pay just as much as the people over here. On that note, our inspiration today comes from a guest from this book, Portable Pep Talk. And I'll read it to you. And actually, there is actually a speech project in an official Toastmasters manual on reading. Maybe it's because if you want to actually read to children in schools or something, maybe there's a great way to have voice inflection with that. So, The World is Against Me is the title of this particular inspiration. The world's against me, he said with a sigh. Somebody stops every scheme that I try. The world has me down and it keeps me there. I don't get a chance. Oh, the world is unfair. When a fellow is poor, then he can't get a show. The world is determined to keep him down low. What of Abe Lincoln? I asked. Would you say that he was much richer than you are today? He hadn't your chance to make his mark, and his outlook was often exceedingly dark. Yet he clung to his purpose and courage most grim, and he got to the top. Was the world against him? What of Ben Franklin? I've often heard it said that many a time he went hungry to bed. He started with nothing but courage to climb, but patiently struggled. He waited his time. I like how it rhymes. He dangled all a while from real poverty's limb, yet he got to the top. Was the world against him? I could name you a dozen, yes, hundreds, I guess, of poor boys who have patiently climbed to success. All the boys who were down, who struggled alone, who'd ever thought themselves rich if your fortune they'd known. Yet those rose in the world you're quick to condemn, and I'm asking you now, was the world against them? That is your inspiration for today. Maybe next Monday, if one of you guys or any guest wants to bring an inspiration, whether it's a short quote or something like what I just did, I invite you guys to do that, or I'll be happy to keep picking it. And next is our word of the day, which I looked up the definition. It wasn't a big word and it wasn't a big definition, but I thought today, the word for today comes from the cover of this book, which is the word pep. So the word of the day is pep, which I actually looked up the definition just to make sure that I know what it means. It says energy, liveliness. I actually had a philosophy teacher that actually talked for an entire hour about the word tableness. So we could probably talk for an hour about the word pep and liveliness. You've got pep, Ruth. I know you do. I was going to start to do a little Dr. Seuss in there, but hey, that's your sentence, an example of using the word pep in your table topics today or your speeches. Hopefully, if everybody's online, the internet doesn't knock us off, we could hear a 6-minute speech from Trish, a 6-minute speech from Ruth, and a 6-minute speech from Mary I Dare. She's already off the screen. I didn't mean to scare you. You don't have to. You don't have to at all. So we'll go with self-introductions as your president pro tem. If you could stay your for the recording and the podcast. I'm calling our Toastmasters journey club on Mondays as Business Meets Toastmasters as we work towards a charter club. So some of us are actually Toastmasters, like myself, and I joined the club on purpose again so that I could be officially so business meets Toastmasters. So you guys are the business, I'm the Toastmasters, and then when we get 20 of us, we'll be our own standing club. But $20 for the year as you guys all subscribed, so that it helps cover the platform and this unique thing. We could have done Zoom or anything else, but just to be different, I keep it here. Where was I? So
Oh,
introductions, the name and the city, and then you could answer the question that you have or ask the question that you have also. So Ruth, say your name to verify that I'm right, that it's Ruth and not just reading your screen there, and then your city, and then you can state your question. Then we'll go to the next person for introductions.
hi, I'm Ruth Fieldbeck, and I'm in Lantana, Florida, which is South Central Palm Beach County, Florida.
And
And my
you
question is, if we have paid the $20, are we an official Toastmaster?
No, you're that's just the equivalent to the local club dues. It's just one. Some of the clubs every 6 months at a Toastmasters club around the world, they have like a club dues every 6 months. I figured $20 is the whole year, no matter when you join, and that way you feel part of it. So you feel like you have some skin in the game for all of us providing the experience. Because most of us have been to a Toastmasters club before, so we know that there's a set agenda, so we don't have to waste anybody's time. Make does
Okay,
that make sense? So
thank you.
Ruth, since you're in the same square as I mean, Mary is the same square as Ruth. You guys look alike. Yeah, not really, but so Mary, tell us your name to verify that I'm correct, and your city and state. I'm assuming is the same place as you're on the same couch.
No, she's telling you. Oh, hello. My name is Mary Smith, and I'm in Hypoluxo. She's in
Ah,
Hypoluxo. She was telling you where she lives.
right.
Uh, she's sitting on my couch in my condo in Hypoluxo, Florida, and
Excellent.
I can't concentrate because I'm looking out the window at all the rain coming down.
Yeah, you have what we had about 10 minutes ago, but we still have the thunder.
Well, actually, where I live is just light rain. It's not bad at all.
You
Never
should
rains
see.
here.
Lucky wasn't happy during that torrential. He was just a little shivering. Okay, so Hypoluxo, Lantana, and then Trish, you're the star for the self introductions.
Hello, I am Trish Bush, and I am currently located in Palm City, Florida, Martin County.
And we'll send the rain right up to you if it didn't get there yet.
Nope, it's not here yet. It's not here
Really?
yet. And
Wow.
interestingly, I just wanted to share I have never been a part of Toastmasters. This is my first introduction. I've heard about it and have always wanted to participate. And I'm just grateful that you created this and I'm able to attend.
And you have the look and feel of a full Toastmasters club with this audience of below the videos of there is a few females in there because I asked ChatGPT to come up with an image and I said, please give me some women. There's some in there. But I only cared about that I wanted people clapping for us and they look like they're all clapping for us. So that's why I picked this image for that. If you want to like see the agenda that I'm reading from, there's a blue button at the bottom, that's square, and that pulls up in a separate tab. So don't lose us because it's in a tab that says Skylarverse. Hopefully we stay on for that, and you'll see that what I'm following with the agenda every week. It's the same agenda. I will before I tell the agenda, as the Toastmaster of the day and your table topics as well. And maybe I could ask for Ruth to help me out with some of the helper roles when I get to it. To finish the self introductions, I'm Paul Finkelstein. I'm in the Delray Beach, Florida area. I think Mary and Ruth could vouch for me. They've been in our home here, and it's a real place, right? We're not in the cloud. Okay.
That's your.
We might be in the cloud sometimes. All right. On that note, great to have you guys here. And now I'll go fulfill my role as Toastmaster of the evening. I love trying to do every single role. I don't. I can let you take a vacation, actually, Ruth, and you just relax. And you could be table topics. I have a little box with all the topics that even I don't even see them because it's a box that literally has all of the topics here, and I just take the first one, and I can't even see what it is. See how powerful it is to use a prop, by the way, that if you actually, in the middle of your speeches, you could move it in and out close to the camera, and that gets people's attention because you see so many people online giving speeches and webinars, and there's nothing to differentiate ourselves. But if we, move your hands about, use gestures, take a prop and shove it into the camera, that could help make your audience. Plus, there's other things in your speeches, like maybe asking a question, which I got grilled at by Ruth and Mary when Ruth gave her speech, and I'm like, wow, so there's no wrong answers in Toastmasters. The evaluation is like a good manager that gives evaluations and business coaching. You don't want to scare away the employee, otherwise you'll have to keep rehiring. So,
Right.
as Toastmaster
And
today, there are three parts to a Toastmaster meeting. There are prepared speeches that all of our speakers have worked diligently preparing in a week in advance for their speech. Never right on the spot. That never happens. But sometimes, Wi-Fi happens, absences happen, and you have to have in your back pocket a speech in case someone doesn't show up, which is fine. Great. Then we all get the attention. So the speeches are prepared. And then there's table topics, which is a term in Toastmasters for impromptu speaking. And we'll learn about the timing parameters for that. But the typical table topic is 1 minute minimum. If you don't reach the 1 minute, it's not a big deal as well. It's not meant to stump you or it's to help us all think on our feet because all those skills when you're doing one-to-ones or interviews and job hunting, some of us are going on interviews, some of us are meeting lots of appointments, and somebody throws something at you, you want to tackle objection handling. If you're in sales, anybody in sales? I think everybody's in sales, especially if you have a spouse that says, or a kid or a child and a friend, and they say, you want to see this movie? And you say, no. And then there's your rejection in life. And then after the table topics is evaluations, where we learn what we did well and how could we improve. So those are the three parts to all Toastmaster meetings in 145 countries all around the world. I think I got everything except for the helper roles. I can't do it by myself, so now I'm going to play the part of three different helper roles, so I can give Ruth. I'm literally going to give you a vacation. I just decided, so you could just relax and have a stress-free Toastmaster meeting. And so the first helper role of the three is timer. The role of timer is to keep track of time during all parts of the meeting, and that's all the timer has to say when you're called upon to do that. And then there's the ah counter. The ah counter's role is to keep track of the ahs, ums, likes, so's, filler words, double clutches, double starts. And sometimes people say a word twice because they don't know what to say. Or you ever had a discussion with an Israeli, like I was visiting Israel, and they speak Hebrew, and then they say something, and next thing you know, they're like, and then go, and I'm like thinking, is that part of the language or they just wondering what to say? So maybe is also a version of like, so. So they're filler words. So if we could avoid those filler words, one suggestion is to actually pause. Some people think that having dead silence is terrible, but sometimes dead silence is maybe dead is not the right choice of words, but I think that especially in public speaking, because there's a word for fear of public speaking, which is glossophobia, which doesn't sound like anything to do with public speaking. Maybe that's a whole nother speech someone can give about glossophobia and the derivation of that. All right, so I just said three filler words in the middle of my helper roles. I'll counter in the middle of the ah counter roll. So then the next, and I did it again. And the next one is grammarian, which the word grammarian is in charge of coming up at the beginning of the meeting when the sergeant at arms, which is sergeant at arms. When I first joined Toastmasters meeting, I used to think that sergeant at arms was sergeant of arms. And it took us so many months until a Toastmaster kept drilling me that it's sergeant at arms, or Googling it, and you could find out that it is. And so the word of the day, the sergeant at arms, the word grammarian would say that when a sergeant at arms would call you up, like we did with the word pep. So we definitely have pep today. And so that's the grammarian to keep track of the use of language, choice phrases, interesting language, how many times we use the word pep in our table topics and speeches. Your speeches today, I know you've prepared more than a week for them because business people, I think the future club will be called Biz Meets Toastmasters because business people are passionate about their business, especially if they didn't start their business last week. Or if they did start the business last week, they're probably more excited about their business than the people in their business for 10 years. You ever know someone that's been in their business for 10 years and they just don't seem to have the same honeymoon phase when they started their business? So maybe the pep is more in the beginning phase of their business. So if you're an author and you're writing a book, you probably have more pep, hint, Mary, than the author that's old and gray and they've written 6 books and they're like, don't bother me. Okay, so now we go to the table topics portion of our meeting. So now, as Toastmaster of the evening, I will call upon our table topic master. They call it, there's a lot of masters in Toastmasters. Toastmasters. You're all Toastmasters or unofficial Toastmasters members, guests here, and we will call upon the timer, the first assistant, to give you the timing parameters for table topics. Wow, I'm like doing every role. Okay, so the first color that you're going to see is the color green in the middle of your table topic. You will see this at 1 minute. And then at 1.5 minutes, you'll see this yellow color. Hopefully, you're not colorblind. And then at 2 minutes, you'll see this red color, or it looks kind of pinkish or purple. If it's purple, Ruth and Mary will be like jumping up and down doing somersaults. So hang on. If you guys throw on some purple, let's watch them do somersaults. All right. I'd pay for that. Okay, so that's your timing parameters for table topics. And now, for my next trick, we'll go right to our first table topic. I have timer all set. I have my cards. So if you have 3 colors like this or 3 books, you could even be the timer as well next time. Our first table topic of the evening is, and the joy of the table topic is you hear the topic first, and then I call the name. So we'll do about 13 table topics, and then we'll go to our 3 speeches. Our first one is, if you owned a boat, what would you call it? If you owned a boat, what would you call it? Mary.
If I owned a boat, what would I call it? Thank you for asking me that deep question.
And by the way, if you don't like a particular question, I'm in the middle of your time, I know, which is good. I'm helping you out. But you can use the words pivot or segue and go to anything you want to talk about for a minute.
Yeah.
So your option.
When we bought our house, there was a boat on the side of it, but I don't remember naming it. Just a Actually, I've had 2 boats in my life, and both of them leaked. So we can call them leaky or something like that. There, I used to drive down A1A, and I saw this big, huge boat, and and I'm trying to think of the name of it. It had a name, and then it had a smaller boat there, and then an even smaller boat, so that when you dock it at a big dock, you could take that little smaller boat and go to wherever you wanted to go to. And if I had more time to think, to remember, it was a long time ago, but they were cute names, but the little one was called Bow Wow. And I guess that one was the one with the most pep because it could take you to where you wanted to get off the boat. But as far as my boats, they were they had no pep whatsoever. They went right to the bottom of the intercoastal. So they were, let's see, we'll call them leaky losers. How's that? Well,
Sounds
thank you for that interesting question that I could not, you know, I suppose at 3 in the morning I'll think of the names of that big boat and the smaller boat, but I remember the little one was called Bow Wow. That's
are you finished?
thank you. Yes,
Just checking.
I'm yeah, better believe I'm finished.
Okay. Was any of those leaky losers a canoe? Oh wait, that's
No,
a
really.
real.
No, they both had motors.
Okay. All right. Our next tabletop. Oh, by the way, after a table topic, and you'll see in Toastmasters, you get a lot of recognition. So we do a lot of this. So feel free to applaud all of our speakers. Our next up is the topic. I don't tell the speaker first. What's the craziest diet you've ever tried? Ruth.
Glad it's not my
The
question.
craziest diet I ever tried was suggested by my boyfriend when I was 20. I was vegetarian at the time, and he was not supportive of my being vegetarian. He said, "What about plants? Don't plants have feelings? You're concerned about the animals' feelings, but you eat plants and they're living creatures. They may not be petable, they're alive." So I decided I'm not going to eat the animals, although I do eat animals now, and I'm not going to eat plants. I have no clue, no memory. It's been a long, peppy road since I was 20 ish, even 30 ish. I think I was trying to draw energy from the air and water. It was that H2O cocktail that I was thriving on. And there was a lot of yawns at that time because water is very good for us. We definitely want to drink as much water as we possibly can. Proof positive that I'm drinking some water. Although when I'm not feeling peppy, it's Panera coffee, which I have a little bit at home waiting for. Let's keep bringing in all the air that we can, all the water, and here's to an energy rush. Mr. Topics Master.
Okay. So far, we're all qualifying. Our next topic is clap. Okay, we could all be like a seal, like a walrus. Okay, there you go. All right. What do I think of when clapping? The first thing comes to mind was a seal. I'm a little more creative than I am. Okay, what is the next challenge you'd like to take on at work? Trish. I could have gone next, but I picked you. I start the timer when you speak.
Toastmaster. My next challenge that I want to take on at work. That's an interesting question because I am self employed. So every day is a challenge in itself. One must muster up enough pep to get up and take on the day and figure out how I'm going to create an environment where people can find me or know me and learn about what I have to offer. That seems like it would be easy with all of the social media platforms that are available and networking sites such as this. But it is, however, still a challenge because people need to not only see you on the screen, but meet you in person, get a feel for you and your energy, and decide whether they like or trust you. And they're also evaluating your energy and pep. If it's too much, it can be a turnoff. If you don't have enough, it can also be a turnoff. So, my challenge is in finding that balance of who do I really want to attract and how do I find them? Thank you.
Thank you. Okie doke. Arr.
Arf,
Good
arf.
job. The
Where's
seal
the
on my
ball?
mind. Yeah, right. Okay, our next table topic is oh, is you see I'm looking at my box and they flipped around so now they're both showing, but I'll just take it from the middle, right? Just like too honest here. Okay, so which was the best decade of music? Which was the best decade of music? Paul Finkelstein, would you like to give it a try? Don't I feel a little schizophrenic? Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and anybody that's ever listened to any kind of music. I kind of like the music where you make it your own, where you could go into the kitchen and grab some pots and pans and start banging that stuff. And do like the little drums up here and the here, and then I dra- on the cabinet, and they all make different noises. And just do you ever tap while you're working? And it helps. Maybe you're working on a boring task and you just start, tapping on the cabinet. No, just me. Okay. All right. Well, sometimes we all need a little more pep in our day, and so you could just take a simple Bic pen. Here it is. You don't have to go to a store and buy an expensive drum set. You could just use your Bic pen and bang on your drum all day. And that's 1 minute, and I'm going to stick with that story about the best decade of music. But I should digress, though, that the first record that I ever played, and I say record, so I guess that would automatically date me. I ain't no millennial. It was a album, it was a vinyl, and it was Rock Around the Clock. My father
Oh,
had
yeah.
this old record, and I wore it out more than my father used it. It was just sitting there, and I'm like, this young Paul was playing Rock Around the Clock like almost every day. Okay, that took me to about
That's funny.
so, yay for Paul. Okay. All right. Next up is what are your favorite apps? I'm not talking about apples in your refrigerator. Your favorite app on your phone, Mary.
What? Thank you, table master topic. I
How?
mean, oops. I I have too many apps on my phone, and I delete them quite often. But I do have a few that I use a lot, and I'm not exactly sure whether you call all these things apps, all these little things on here.
Do you want to
Uh,
show the audience?
You have
are
some
those
apps.
all apps?
Those are apps.
Is that okay? And then, yeah, I have, that's my second side.
I didn't quite see them close enough to see which was your favorite.
No, I haven't said which one was my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite has to be Facebook, I would assume, but I also like my gallery because I love to save photos. I have probably about 3,000 photos in my gallery, which is more than I have friends in my Facebook app. But then again, I do love my messenger, so I can talk to my BFF quite often with that. And then, of course, I like my YouTube, so I can play my Dr. Phil that puts me to sleep. And then again, my AOL, because I have to have emails, which I have too many of, and I mostly just click delete, delete. But then on this side, I have my Amazon shopping. I like that one. And my chat GPT. So those are my favorites. But I guess if I have to choose one, that would be my Facebook. Oh, I'm red already?
Well, you have
Thank
30
you.
seconds to wrap up. I don't know if I said that,
Yeah.
but I should have.
Well, I now that I've bored you, I'm all done. Thank you, topic master.
Now use the clap to wake us up after the people that are bored. Okay. All right. One day you should experience a Toastmasters club in an English speaking Toastmasters club in a foreign country somewhere, like my wife and I did in Bucharest, Romania. And we had a guy from the embassy there and 20 other people. And even my wife, we got off a cruise. We had a couple of days and we found a Toastmasters club and went to it for instead of going to an excursion that would have cost us lots of money. We went to a Toastmasters club in Bucharest, Romania. Okay, our next up is where's your favorite place to eat lunch? Ruth Fieldbeck.
Thank you, Topics Master. Thank you to all of us who are eating and drinking and enjoying the pep and the zep of the meeting. My favorite place to eat lunch is going to be, and I'm going to celebrate, so I want each of you
Oh,
to
buddy.
know that
Uh-oh.
not across a day Finkelstein. It's going to be on certain days of the week at my new job, which is my newest challenge in my business or professional life. It is going to be very exciting because I'm learning about a new industry. I'm a jack of all trades, or Jane, Jack or Jill, and a master of none. The consistent part of my professional life is doing administrative assistance type tasks. And I met somebody today who puts on a lot of classes for different industries. So her industry is a new industry for me, and helping her with the classes is going to be a new industry. We're going to be working side by side. She has one desk or table. I have a little desk that she has set up. I'm very excited about it. I'll be doing skills that I already know, such as making outbound phone calls, receiving inbound calls, answering emails, sending emails. I'm hoping and I can see the opportunity to show her the benefits of social media, which I love. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken on learning Alignable, but I love Alignable, and Skylar's interesting. So I hope for exciting days and I hope to rise to the challenge. Mr. Topics Master.
Yay. Okay, reset the timer clock. Go for our next topic. Which celebrity's life would you like to live for 24 hours, Trish? It could be a
Ooh.
loaded question, right?
Okay. So, which celebrity's life would I like to live for 24 hours? I believe that celebrity would be Taylor Swift. She is a very peppy young girl. She gets to travel around the world, and I'm sure she's on a private yacht named Swifty somewhere. And she has connections with people all around the world. And it's nice to see that she uses her stardom and her celebrity to really connect with people. She reaches out through her social media, through her website, and she lets them know where she's going to be or how to get tickets because it's important to her to get tickets into her fans. Now, I am not a big connoisseur of her music, but it's exciting to see what she has done in such a short time with her life. And now she's moving into this fairy tale wedding with her football player boyfriend, just getting engaged. So it's just kind of exciting. And it would be interesting to walk in those shoes for 24 hours. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr.
And there's
Toastmaster, for
another
agreeing with me.
example of a table topic, an impromptu speech, and coming up with some verbiage on the fly. Okay, our next
Totally.
is, have you ever taken a bad vacation? Have I taken a bad vacation, Paul? Do you want to share a bad vacation with them? Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, business owners, entrepreneurs, small business owners. When I think of the word bad, I think of that cartoon Foghorn Leghorn and the big chicken. And I picture there's a particular maybe real life story, or maybe perhaps it was a joke. And there was the Foghorn Leghorn big chicken was working at a restaurant. I don't know. I don't think it's Kentucky Fried Chicken because he would have got cooked. But at the restaurant, one of his patrons asked for a potato, and the patron was not happy with the potato, and he was not one of the seven dwarfs. So he was not that kind of happy. But he was definitely aggravated about the way his potato was. So Foghorn Leghorn, the server in that restaurant, said to the patron there at his table, he lifted up the potato that was really bad, and Foghorn Leghorn said, "Bad potato, bad potato, bad potato, bad potato."
I knew that was coming.
You knew that was coming? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. On that note, on happy notes, does anybody here like fully loaded baked potatoes at a restaurant? Or are you baked potatoes and just chives and butter? Or do you not have potatoes and you prefer the French fries? Just a quick survey. Okay. We'll move on.
Yeah, fully loaded would be okay. The
Okay.
bacon and sour
Sour
cream.
cream, butter, and chives.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Mary, what is your most prized possession? What's your most prized possession?
Wow.
Did you say what? Something?
Wow.
Yeah, she did. So you can start counting.
Oh, okay.
I thank you, Toastmaster. I prefer some of the other questions that other people get.
That's
Take
I
fine.
one. You
That's
could
very
take
fine.
somebody's question. You could take any of the prior ones.
Or make up
no.
your own, whatever you want to talk about. You could pivot or segue.
Wow. I would have to say, oh, can I take something else?
Yes, you can. Oh, you
Yeah.
want me to give you another
Talk
one?
about
Sure. I'll give you
anything you
another
want.
one. What was your favorite birthday dinner when you were young? And I don't know when the young is, just you could fill in the blank. 2,
Wow.
10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90.
Wow.
Your favorite birthday dinner.
I don't. Ugh. Other people get the better questions. I don't know.
The
What would
good
you like
news
to talk
is
about?
you're at the green, so you could stop if you want, or we could we could make you suffer. It's not meant to make anybody suffer, by the way. Just help you think on your.
I I I don't really have a prized possession, I guess, except my condo. I guess that's the only thing I can say that I finally own this place.
That's good.
I own
That's
it.
remarkable. What about your
But
little white chair?
my what?
Little white chair.
What little white chair? Anyway, at this stage of the game, I've always had maybe a home with my husband, but this one just belongs to me and my son, of course. But someday, not like my husband used to, every time we moved, I would lose things. So I don't hold on to things anymore. And in fact, my daughter is moving, and there's about 10 boxes of my stuff. That is that red?
Yeah. You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
10 boxes of my stuff that were antiques from my mother. And I'm like, I don't even want this stuff anymore. And you know what my husband used to say, it's all going to burn up someday anyway. So, but I don't have a lot of pep when I think of my stuff. So I guess it's just the fact of having a BFF with me. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Table Master, for the extra
Excellent.
30 seconds.
Okay. Um, let's see. I still have Ruth and Paul and Trish left, right? What do you wish you had learned in school? What do you wish you learned in school? Ruth Fieldback.
What do I wish I learned in school?
Mm.
Oh, topics master and new attendee, participant Trish and Mary. I would love to be the poster child for prepare more in your early years for life. My life has been good and I'm very thankful for it. And I'm thankful that tomorrow I'm celebrating a milestone anniversary with my husband. However, I really wish that all the days that I played hooky and all the days when I worked for a company that paid for tuition reimbursement, to complete the course with a decent grade, I really wish I would have had a bigger vision of towards the later years in life and what was needed to be successful in retirement because it's great when the early years are good, the middle years are good, but as we move towards the end, we really need to be prepared. We need to have some resources, we need to have some money saved. We're going to be okay. But I think those are important. And I think I would have invested a little more time towards using my skills, priding myself on my adventure with where those skills would have, could have, should have taken me, what I could have done with them. However, life is always an opportunity as long as we're living. So I'm continuing to use those. And again, I'm really excited that the skills and the experience and the vision that I have is going to be successful. I can feel it with my new employer. So that's what I would have done more in my earlier years. Thank you, everybody. And I hope I don't sound too much like an Eeyore.
And Eeyore?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. If you do, then be the best poo you can be. All right.
That's right.
Next. What's your favorite purchase from last year? What's your favorite purchase? Trish Bush. It could be a dollar too, by the way. Your favorite dollar store item, or it could be the most expensive, or anywhere in between.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, for that interesting question. What is or was my favorite purchase? Uh, Interestingly, my favorite purchase has to do with, like Mary, my home. I recently moved to Palm City and was able to purchase a home, my husband and I, although I did give up a beautiful home in Miami Beach to make this purchase. I am still very grateful for the opportunity and just the fact to have a home. That is a wonderful thing. And it is a good home. And I keep saying and I'm going to stop that now. It is a beautiful home. And I hope to celebrate many birthdays here and Thanksgiving and Christmases where we can enjoy fine foods, uh, fine foods at a beautiful dining room table that was in storage at a friend's barn up in Georgia that I got to pick up, and it seats 10 people. It's a huge table. I got it for my first wedding anniversary, and this is the first time I've had it in my home in 10 years. So it's a very exciting thing. With that, those are my purchases. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, you got it. And that's the art of table topics. I feel like I should just give up being a counter. And for your $20, it's like the Walmart counter self checkout, where you actually have to be your own counter and you pay for it. Just like going to Walmart and having to ring up your own stuff. On
Put
that
this in,
note,
put it together.
what jobs
I
did I
broke the bank
what
on that
what
one.
jobs did you have during your teen years? What jobs did you have during your teen years? Paul. Okay. I'm not schizophrenic. Yes, you are. No, you're not. Okay. When I was a junior in high school, a senior worked at an Italian restaurant while we were obviously going to school. And a senior all of a sudden had a date. I guess that's pretty common that a senior or junior would have a date. Maybe some people earlier, late bloomers, early bloomers, etc. And so one of my friends on the soccer team, he worked at this Italian restaurant. He had this date and he said, Paul, could you please sub for me at this Italian restaurant? But he didn't tell me what his duties were. So I said, sure, I'll do it. I could use some cash. What kid wouldn't like some extra cash? And I could get some free food for dinner when I get off of work, which I didn't know was going to be at 2 o'clock in the morning. The restaurant business, right? I found out that I was going to be at my teens a dishwasher for a busy Italian restaurant. The dishes kept flying into the kitchen and I kept cleaning them. And they kept flying into the kitchen and I kept cleaning them. They flying in and I kept cleaning them. And then at the end, they said, what would you like? And I said, I'll take a veal parmesan with marinara sauce and some nice capellini and with the nice mozzarella cheese on top of it and melted together. And there was barely anybody in the restaurant. He said I could go eat out on the floor because it was 2 o'clock in the morning by then already. I'm like, oh, I'm eating dinner at 2 in the morning with my favorite Italian dish. And there's the time. So if you're ever doing everything all multitasking, feel my pain. Thank you. And I shouldn't be thanking you. I mean, you should be thanking me for speaking. So when you're ever speaking, sometimes I heard one Toastmaster say, which is not really the rule, but I did hear some advice that when you're speaking, that you don't have to tell your audience thank you. They should thank you for you providing the value of whatever you're sharing. Okay, I think that we could. That's the wraps up for our table topic session. So I would call up the timer. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Finkelstein. I'm your timer, and everybody did qualify for table topics. And then back to you, table topics master. Can you all vote for your favorite table topics person? Not necessarily. We did a lot of table topics, so just shout out everybody's name. Or we have so few people here. Put in the chat somebody's name 16 times if you love them, whatever you want to do, so that we could make up a nice, pretty certificate for that person. And then we'll announce it at the end of the meeting. Now we'll move on to our prepared speeches, which I will call upon the evaluator for each speaker. You know who that's going to be already. I'm the evaluator too. So that's another role in Toastmasters is the evaluator for each speaker. And as an official Toastmasters club, if you ever join, I encourage you to join a real already chartered club in 145 countries. You can just go to toastmasters.org and type in the zip code. Go. You could be a guest for free because they want members as well. And you could be a dual member of an online club and an in-person club at the same time. But when you go, um, now I lost my train of thought. What I was talking about. Um, there's a
Uh-oh.
About evaluators?
evaluators. Yes, I am the evaluator for the next speaker. So our next speaker doesn't even know the next speaker yet because I did not tell you guys in advance who the speakers would be. But I guess the speakers will be one, two, three, and they will be Ruth first, Mary second. Might as well use the same order for the table topics. And then Trish third. So it'll be one, two, and three. And your evaluator for Mary will be Paul. And Ruth, your evaluator for your speech will be Paul. And Trish, your evaluator for your speech will be Paul. So I get to be three people in one, and you get to be on vacation during the meeting. And your evaluator will stand up and say what the purpose of your speech is if you were going through a speech manual. Your speech will be like the icebreaker speech, which is the first speech in all of they used to have 13 different pathways, but they did release a couple of them. So I think there's about 10 pathways in Toastmasters, which has about 50 different speeches in them, which you work towards your distinguished Toastmaster, which is a great achievement to do because half of 1% of all Toastmasters go all the way through to become a distinguished Toastmaster. Not to brag, but I did do that. It was fun. And I also got rid of all of my unconfidence. Is that a word? My fears of public speaking or even doing a video on YouTube.
So no more glossophobia.
Yeah, glossophobia is the butterflies are at least falling in formation. And it's a new word, flymation. You can make up words, Mary. It's okay. And the purpose of your speech, Ruth, is yeah, a bug flew in my mouth. The purpose of your speech. See, you have no fear. You can just say anything. So the purpose of your speech, Ruth, is to get right to the point and tell us why and how you started your business in 6 minutes, and of which I will call up the timer immediately to tell you your timing parameters for a 4 to 6 minute speech. I say it's 6 minutes, so that way you don't have to stop at 4, but try to go to 6 if you'd like to. At 4 minutes, you'll see the green. At 5 minutes, you'll see the yellow, and at 6 minutes, you'll see the red. Of which you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up from 6 minutes. So you technically have 6 minutes and 30 seconds max. And Ruth Fieldbeck will now tell us why and how she does her thing, her business. Ruth Fieldbeck, take it away.
Thank you, table. Thank you,
Toastmaster
Toastmaster. Oh
of the
gosh.
evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Paul. And welcome guest. Trish, we're glad you came back. And sidekick Mary. And anybody else who happens to hear this video. I have it on good report that people like to watch Paul's videos. Paul, this is going to be the answer to your questions about my part of my businesses. I own two businesses. One is for public relations and administrative assistance. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the second part of my set of businesses, and that is being a certified end of life doula companion. When I was in my early 20s, I started, I was about 21 years old, and I was volunteering through the Red Cross. I got a very small stipend to cover the cost of transportation and just a little bit of incentive and something to allow, having done it, to go on a resume. I was part of the American Red Cross Respite Care Program, which means that if somebody is a full time caregiver, they need to or want to get a little break, however long that might be it an hour, couple of hours, sometimes even overnight, although that would be a rare exception and would probably need more advance notice. The woman who ran the program for the Red Cross, wonderful woman. I was about 21. She was probably 45. So I had a great deal of respect for her and thought of her as, in a way, not that we got into much personal discussion, but in a way, looked at her like maybe a second parent or a mentor. She was probably a licensed social worker and she had the know how to run the program, the motivation to run the program, and she kept encouraging me that I seemed to be very interested in the respite access or part of the program and providing respite care for a number of different clients. Some of the people who needed the caregiving while their primary caregivers were away from them for a while. Some of them had emotional challenges, some had mental challenges. For example, somebody with Down syndrome, they may have been younger, they may have been older. Some of them were simply needing extra care because of their age and the aches and pains and physical breakdown of the body as we get older. It's harder to walk. It's sometimes we develop conditions such as diabetes or heart problems, other problems. Sometimes the service that I provided was to read to the person left at home. Sometimes it was to bring them water or a light meal. Usually their primary caregiver had already provided it. Sometimes it was to watch TV with them. Sometimes they would sit up in a chair in the room where I would be with them. Sometimes I would be with them in their bedroom. Sometimes they would be sleeping, and I was there simply for the added safety and security in case they needed to come up or to get up and use the restroom or whatever other parts of their home. I loved it. It was great. It was kind of like babysitting on a special needs or grandparent giving, caregiving. And I always knew that the person would, their primary caregiver, would be coming back. It was always well known what time they would be coming back. And they would leave their contact information, their phone, whatever was needed. That was back in the early 1980s. So there was no um, cell phone, they simply weren't developed yet. There was no email. It was just if you needed the caregiver, pick up the phone and call them. That led to my becoming a home nurse's aide or hospital nurse's aide or sometimes a sitter. There were some wonderful, interesting patients in those settings that also needed help, and those were for longer periods of time. I'll probably talk about that during a future speech that I'll give here in our Toastmasters meeting or at other opportunities. But that is a service that I provide as well as end of life and really close to end of life vigil sitting. And I can also, because I've been through vigils for family members as they're really close to the end of their life, I can help families and friends plan for that. So I'm learning and serving Mr. Toastmaster.
Yay! Okay. Everybody's clapping for you, not just the three of us. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
All 150 people in the room are clapping for you.
Yay, good people down here.
Next up, good job, is Mary will be talking about how and why perhaps she wants to be an author. Why would you want to do that? But first, your evaluator and your timer will tell you the point of your speech is to get to the point about how and why you want to become an author and tell us about that. And your timing parameters will be 4 minutes at the green, 5 minutes at the yellow, and 6 minutes at the red. You'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. And I do these things also between the timer and the evaluator so that you now have time to gather your thoughts. Even if you were prepared for a week, you could bring about your notes, place them on the podium or the lectern, stand on your podium. By the way, if you didn't know that the differences between a podium and a lectern, if you're ever speaking in person, you stand on top of a podium, you stand behind a lectern. That was something that interesting trivia when I first went to a Toastmaster meeting. So let us hear from our next speaker, Mary Smith from Hypoluxo, Florida. Take the stage online.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I came to South Florida in 1969, before 95 was here, and when before places out west like Wellington were there. It was uh, these roads were all 2 lane, all of them. There were no 4 lane roads then. It was a very laid back time. There were no fast food joints where I lived or anything like that. Then in the newspaper, they started putting photographs of old Lantana. And I thought, well, I live in Lantana. That's interesting to me. So I would save them. And I just had that in the back of my mind. When I was a kid, I used to visit my grandparents. They had all these antiques. And so old stuff always intrigued me. Then I saw an ad in a small free newspaper. If you want to get together and talk about old Lantana, call this number. So, of course, I did. And that's how we started the Lantana Historical Society. And I brought all my newspaper clippings, not thinking of, doing anything like writing a book. But I found out from the lady who runs it now that every municipality in Florida was contacted by this particular, where they want you to write a book, publisher, certain publisher. They wanted every single municipality in Florida to write a book about the history of their municipality. So that's how we got started. However, we they didn't like certain things we were doing. They didn't want this cover or that cover or whatever. I don't remember exactly how we broke contact with them, but we're on our own now, which I'm glad for. So we're taking it's been I've been working on this book now for over 10 years, so it's time to finish it up, and I'm really enjoying it. I've even doing more research now than I was 10 years ago, so it's really been fun for me, and I really hope to get it done as soon as I can. And I go to church with the lady who is the head of the Historical Society, and she goes, "I have to talk to you. I want to get together. We've got to get this finished." And I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds like it. So I'm really taking time away tonight to do this, to not do my book. But I've been working feverishly on it, and I'm really enjoying it. But that's really basically how I got started on it, and hope to finish it as soon as I can. Hopefully, I kept saying by the end of the year, but it's got to be long before then. Thank you, Toastmaster Mister.
I think you're going to need this Toastmasters, and you're doing great. I think you're a really great storyteller because I hear that book people, authors, go on tour and speak about their book. So this is like your foundation for that.
Well, my tour doesn't have to be very far because I probably won't leave Lantana.
Well, we'll draw a map around Lantana and we're going to book you everywhere.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Clap for our amazing Mary. Have you ever gotten this much applause ever in one meeting? Our next up is our speaker all the way from Palm City, Florida. Her name is Trish Bush. She's going to be talking about how and why she started her business in 4 to 6 minutes, which is 4 minutes at the green, 5 minutes at the yellow, 6 minutes at the red. You'll have 30 seconds to wrap it up, and I'll be evaluating you in our third portion of the meeting evaluations. Welcome to the electronic online stage, Trish Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and thank you, fellow Toastmasties. I'm getting some reverb. Is that you?
Not me,
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay. Anyway, excuse me. My business is Conscious Body. Conscious Body is the name I came up with because our bodies are the most magical and interesting tools or machineries that were ever created. We are basically a soft tissue machine. Our brain, our heart, our veins, everything is working whether we're conscious of it or not. Hence the name of my company, Conscious Body. It's so exciting to me. And one of the things that really revved me up about my company, have you ever bent over and had that in your back and thinking, oh no, what did I do? That happened to me. And so I started to really dissect the body. Lots of times people think the back problems, slip disc, things like that are the cause. They picked up something heavy. But oftentimes, things going on in our body have nothing to do with what we perceive is the problem. There's so many muscles that connect around and forward and down. It's all connected. It's all soft tissue. There's fascia in between. That's just one part, the physical part. Now we have the different energetic bodies that are unseeable to the eye. How we think about certain things, what grudges we're carrying, a hurt that has affected us in the past when we were young and little, and our parents, told us something that we couldn't have or do, and or we were in an accident. All of those things that we don't process get locked in the body. So when we look at issues in our tissues or pains, it's so much more than just a bending over and throwing out a back or slipping a disc. There's things going on in the mind or things we haven't processed or looked at that also affect the body in so many different ways. So, having been through events like this, I started my company so I could learn more. so I could learn more, go deeper, and to help other people learn more and go deeper into what their ailments and aches and pains might be telling them, and to give them a different way to look at their life, a different lens in which to view their body and the consciousness that it has, and to listen. What is your body saying to you? Every little ache, pain, um, zit, or gross, or something that happens, it's talking to you in the only way it knows how. Are you listening? Can you be aware of these signs? And instead of running out to a doctor, looking for a pill, start asking yourself, body, what are you trying to tell me? What would you like me to know? What awareness are you trying to give me here? And these are things that I've learned, questions I've learned to ask of my own body and people around me. And I have to say, it is easier to work on the people around you, because when you don't have that close relation, it's easier to see someone's issues than it is your own. And I'm sure some of you have experienced that with your kids, maybe. You can see what's going on in their life so plain and clear, but they can't see anything that's in front of them. And we've all experienced it, I'm sure, at some point or another. Conscious body was created by me so I can take my 10 years of learning all of these processes, all of these techniques, and to get out in the community and let them know that there are different ways in which we can heal our body and tune in and not have to take a pill and be on a bunch of medications. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Trish. Okay. And you guys all did it. Our next up is no, just you guys. Because I want to end on time, and we have about 15 minutes. And in interest of time, I'm going to attempt to do one evaluation for all three of you. In the timing parameters for evaluations are 2 minutes at the green in all Toastmaster clubs around the world, 145 countries. 2 minutes at the green, 2.5 at the yellow, and 3 minutes you'll see the red, of which you'll have 30 seconds, or I'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. And the general evaluator comes on to the podium behind the lectern, and general evaluator will introduce the three evaluators for the three speeches. Yes, I'm schizophrenic. No, I'm not. Uh, Okay, funny or not, I actually had a relative that, may she rest in peace, uh, had to deal with stuff like that. On that note, our first speaker and the second speaker and the third speaker that I will be evaluating all together in 2 to 3 minutes and 30 seconds to wrap up is Ruth Fieldbeck, Mary Smith, and Trish Bush. Fellow Toastmasters, to be entrepreneurs, small business owners, you are not on the witness stand. You're in a Toastmaster style club to become better speakers. We use the Oreo cookie method here at Toastmasters. Another way of saying it is a sandwich method. You can Google the sandwich method. But my club that I went to for 7 years in a row, every single week, called it the Oreo cookie method. So I say it as the Oreo cookie method, where you start off on a high note and say some things that you really liked about the speakers. And then you say one tip to improve, just one. Because you ever ask someone to critique your speech before coming to a Toastmasters club, and they're a non Toastmaster, and they might just give you 30 things how awful you were, and then you feel worse, and then you're about to give your speech, and you don't want to feel down giving a speech. So you would love if they could give you this Oreo cookie method evaluation. So it's a combination of a pep talk and a evaluation all in one. Ruth, I love that you have this halo over your hair while you're speaking tonight, and I thought I'd make note of that. That gives a certain aura from every speech that you've been giving us today. Of course, I know you, and you're the one that got Sarah and I back into Toastmasters since I first heard of it around 2001, 2002. I think I first heard of it around 1995 or 6. And somebody ripped out a page of a magazine, but I can't even get into that story because I only have 2 to 3 minutes and I have to tell all of you guys. Okay, so I just teased you. You'll have to ask me later. So, and then Mary, she has such an amazing innate storytelling abilities. Wow. So when you're doing an evaluation, you actually have to come up with a speech on the fly, say some compliments, say some things you loved about the speaker, and then here is the nugget to improve. And of course, our third speaker is Trish Bush, and I love that she naturally brings about the hand gestures, and I think so well, maybe more than me naturally, because if I put my hands up, if I don't keep them down, they're probably going to go everywhere. But I don't get the sense of you doing that. Maybe there's a little hint of Italian in all of us. So maybe we're more alike than we are different. The tip to improve, here's where I could condense it all, that Dale Carnegie says that when you act enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic. He says, if it's to be, it's up to me. He says, enthusiasm is the secret that I would love to see next week you do even more. Trish has more of it than most of us today. Maybe I have some of it too. And but maybe Ruth's business might not warrant all of the a lot of enthusiasm because she has that calm demeanor for dealing with caregiving. And then Mary has she is like maybe been around the block, very seasoned, and I think that you are. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. On that note, thank you guys all for having the guts to leave the ruts, curing your glossophobia in one session. Well, actually, it takes more than one session, but practice is the secret to being a better speaker. I'm at almost 4 minutes. Am I supposed to go to 3.5? So I went a little over, to be honest. Here, see. Okay.
You have a lot to say.
Back to you, general evaluator, and you try maybe doing an evaluation for 3 people on one. So technically, I only went over by like 10 minutes each person instead of 30 seconds over combined. I'm going to justify it as because I had triple the amount of fun and triple the amount of pep. Now, the general evaluator will ask for the reports, which are from the 3 helper roles. Let me call upon the timer. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Finkelstein, your timer. And everybody here was on time during all of the parts of the meeting. Now we jump to the ah counter. And we know it's the ah counter because as soon as you're trying to think of the role, you start saying like, ah, and you know, and so, and all the filler words just come out like a fire hydrant. There was a few ands because Trish reminded me. So we had a bit of a self-checkout line here today where they pay to come, but they have to track their own ahs and ums and likes, you know. When you go to one in-person meeting, there is a separate person keeping track of it. And by taking a role of timer, counter, and grammarian, I'm really doing all of you disservice because when you have one of those roles, listening skills is the exact opposite that most people think you would get from a public speaking club. It is not public speaking, but actually learning through listening. And you need those skills to be a better business owner, salesperson, etc. Maybe even a book writer, maybe even a caregiver, maybe even someone that deals with Medicare. Since all you guys got to talk about your hows and whys, but I slipped in Medicare. Among other things, so Medicare and more. Okay, subtle hint. Now
Oh,
I'll move from the ah counter and stop saying filler words and go to the word grammarian, which I did take notes for you guys. And I love the choice phrases that I heard today. Table master topic. Mary, I love it. It sounds like a new Indian Toastmaster. Table master topic. How? Welcome to our Toastmaster club. And then Mary said, I own this place. Just sounds very commanding. I love that choice of words, as well as plants have feelings. How many meetings do you ever go to where someone says plants have feelings? Thank you, Ruth, for sharing that. Is there one other choice phrase I heard? But there was, I digress, multitude times that the word pep, the word of the day, was said. You all said it. Congratulations. We made it through a meeting by being peppy and saying the word pep also in our speeches. Now I turn over the meeting to our Toastmaster of the evening. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Finkelstein again because I'm giving all of our guests and members a vacation where I get to do everything. That should be like a new challenge where we should make, instead of having to go through the roles, we should give somebody a challenge to do all of the roles and we all get to be on vacation and just give speeches and topics. As Toastmaster of the evening, I give out the awards. Let's see. I will not give an award out for the best evaluator because it would be me, or me. Me. That's a song. So we have here in the chat, I'm looking, I see Ruth, Mary, Paul, Trish. So it looks like Trish. I see Trish. Everybody. Okay, everybody. I have to make a certificate for everybody. Thank you, guys. So those are the winners. Congratulations for our table topics. And I don't. Not all the clubs do the best speaker. Most of the clubs have a best table topic and a best evaluator, but some clubs do their favorite speaker. So if you guys want to put into the chat who your favorite speaker was, but I think you guys were all great. So we'll say
All I did,
yes.
I did
Okay. What you did? What
put my best speaker,
uh,
my favorite
Favorite
speaker.
speaker.
in the chat?
Yeah,
Oh, is it in there?
it
Your
is.
plants have awareness for sure, ladies and Paul. Thank you for making phenomenal speeches. Voting for Trish. Trish for the speeches. Okay, so Trish is our winner. Congratulations. You are our favorite speaker of the evening. I'm going to put away those timer cards. And then I will turn over the meeting to our president pro tem. I'm looking at my outline, which you can click on that blue button and see what I'm following. Which the president pro tem would call upon the vice president of education, which is in a typical Toastmasters club around the world in 145 countries. The vice president of education will go through the roles for next week. And the roles for next week would be either one person volunteers, I wouldn't recommend it, to do every single role, which if you've never done it before, that could be a little bit daunting and overwhelming. And it's always good maybe just split it up in our size club at the moment between
Mr. Vice President,
yes.
Your arm
if
is
I
not
could
inside the
be
thing.
so
Yeah.
rude as to
Yeah.
interrupt you,
What happened?
I hereby give you a vacation for next week.
Ah,
And I want to come back to Trish. Trish, you seem very excited and extra peppy when Paul presented the inspiration and said that we could give an inspiration next week. Would you like to give the inspiration next week?
I am traveling and getting home late on Monday evening next week. So I will not be
Okay,
attending, but I will definitely sign up for the following week.
excellent. And you don't have to sign up for all the roles.
hey,
The
Ruth, would like
Okay.
you
inspiration
to
I
be
don't
on
want all
would
the
be
vacation when
roles.
she comes
significant.
back? Could I be on vacation for 2 weeks in a row? Not
We'll
from the
find a
meeting,
way.
just from the roles.
We'll find a way
You
for you,
you
Paul.
Maybe.
Paul, you seem to have good inspirations. I think you ought to be the permanent inspiration giver
It's
because you
all
know
due
where to
to
find.
due to having like 2,000 books in my house. Like this guy
Yeah.
named Jim Rohn, he actually said we should have a library in our house as business owners. You ever heard of that little free library thing that went viral across the internet years ago, and they made these little houses that look like doll houses where people could put books
Yes,
in and your neighbors could share books. I was thinking
yes.
about making my front porch the little free library and have people come to my porch, and I'll stick 16 books there and get people to come and see a marketing book or a business book or a J. Paul Getty book or Robert Kiyosaki book, which are all purple, by the way. Those are, I recommend you guys to read
That's my
all of the
color.
Robert Kiyosaki books because they're all purple. Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and a bunch of others. Um,
Lantana has a ton of those little library things all over town.
yeah, I always wanted to find someone though because I'm not a carpenter, and my if I had to build it, it might fall over. So that's why I'm like, instead of finding somebody to do it for free, I was thinking I'll just make my front porch it, and I don't have to make a box that is weatherproof, even though the library might get ripped out during the season of storm season now. So I will turn over the meeting back to the president pro tem as soon as Ruth says that when she means that I could take a vacation, that means you're going to up the challenge and be every single role by following the agenda, the Toastmaster, the table topic master, the general evaluator, and all the evaluators for everybody, including the three helper roles. And if you want help for inspiration, you could do it or give it. And we didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance today. That's what I usually like to
I
do.
know.
Which,
I was
which
wondering if I should say
just
anything. Or
realizing it, which because I like if you go to a Toastmasters club, they do the Pledge of Allegiance because Ralph Smedley, who started Toastmasters over 100 years ago, last October 22, 1924, was the first official Toastmasters club, and they started with the Pledge of Allegiance, which I think was a speech in itself, right? Which is just a few words somewhere over here. Um, so we'll let it slide today because we're already at 7 o'clock, and I want to end on time and start on time because I was telling Ruth that I have this pet peeve for our in person last Thursday. I didn't want any of the introductions at a business meeting to go over a minute and a half. Otherwise, my meeting would have not started and ended on time. And if someone does that, I kind of have to call them out, sort of indirectly, which I did. I didn't even say their name, even though Ruth kind of got who I was talking about. So I guess when you know people, you kind of know who you're talking about. On that
and
note,
Paul, yes, I give you the whole shebang, the whole meeting off.
okay, fantastic. I already feel like the stress is wiped away. So back to our president pro tem, and I adjourn the meeting with my gavel or my big pen landing on my laptop. And this meeting is officially over. I will try to take the audio and put it on the podcast, which you can go to omgtalk.com for our Toastmasters style agenda for Biz Meets Toastmasters. At the very bottom of omgtalk.com will be the audio recording. And then on my YouTube will be the video version, which I don't know how you get to it because I have it on a Linktree page and I just four things on that now. I'll have to come up with, I'll just put it on my LinkedIn, the link to look up Paul Finkelstein on LinkedIn, and I'll put the link to my YouTube over there if you like that version, which is getting up there. I have 174 subscribers finally on YouTube. So I think it's a little baby that just keeps shooting. Thank you guys all for attending. I know Rajesh has to get back to her other half. Ruth had already
Thank
met
you.
her best friend. Oh,
Thank you.
maybe for the recording too. Could you give us what you liked and what you learned from today's meeting, starting with Ruth? And you give me like 30 seconds each. Ruth?
I think even if you're feeling glossophobia or you're feeling a little shy at the moment, that you can still speak and push beyond yourself. I think you can learn, and Paul, this is something I'm going to learn, to start with an audience participation, whether it's a question or however we get them to participate. And new members, yes, are always very exciting. Thank you, Trish.
I did like how Mary started today with telling a little story. But a statistic or a question are known to be a good starter of a speech. Mary, what did you like about our meeting? What did you learn?
What I like about the meeting is that I'm with my best friend, and I like you because I know you very well. And I met a new friend tonight, Trish, who was very pleasant. Hi, glad to meet you. So it was very pleasant all around because what are you doing?
I'm trying to poke you.
Oh, that's right.
That's like
You
really
were
weird in the
making
camera.
you were
I
making
know.
it
Well, he interrupted me.
Yeah, sorry.
What was I saying? Oh,
just says very nice to
That's what
meet you.
happens when you have fun.
Good to make a new friend.
yeah, when you have fun. Yes, I was having, and I forgot. I was
We'll come back
thinking.
to Trish will tell us what she liked and what she learned.
Tell you what I liked. I liked hearing everybody's story. I loved the laughter and the support here. I especially loved hearing about Ruth being a death doula. Mary was hilarious when you first said her name. She ducked off camera, tried to hide. And Paul, that story about the restaurant, having worked many years in the restaurant business, I could totally relate. I look forward to more meetings and speaking with all of you and contributing here. Thank you so much. I have to run, but it's been great.
If you're ever using
Safe
Skylar, by
and
the
safe
way,
travels for the
make a
weekend.
note to tell people how much fun we had here and then slide the people on Skylar and tell them to just come in here at omgtalk.com and have a great evening.
I'll do that. Thank you.